Hey everybody, Rockin Robbie Billups here for Pop Culture Philosophers, and we had an awesome PCP movie night tonight. We watched Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman!
That's right, everybody. Thank you guys for checking out the video, but we watched Wonder Woman, the long-anticipated DCEU. It's so weird to say DCEU compared to MCU. Anyway, the long-awaited DC comic book movie, Wonder Woman. We watched it. Pop Culture Philosophers are here. I want to know what they thought about the movie. So first of all, John, Hammertime Holshoe. What'd you think about the movie, homie?
It's the best Wonder Woman film I've ever seen.
Oh, including the animated film? Because that was really good too.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Oh, you should. It's really good. Anyway, tell me what you thought about the movie, man.
I enjoyed the film. A lot of great action. Special effects were great for the most part. We'll get to that later. Great cast. A lot of people hollered about Gal Gadot initially before Batman vs. Superman. She did a fantastic job in the film. Chris Pine does a great job. I'm forgetting her name that plays the aunt.
Robin Wright.
Robin Wright. Thank you. Wasn't she married to Sean Penn at some point in time?
At one point in time.
Yeah, that's what
Sean Penn was married to her.
Oh, exactly. So she does a fantastic job. There's actually a great cast, and there's a lot of good things going for the movie. I think that it lives up to the hype. I really think it does.
You loved it. You thought it was really good.
I'm not going to say without flaws. Maybe we'll get to those. But I really thought it was a great film. They delivered, and I had a good time. It was worth every penny.
All right, Brooks, what did you think about this movie? Brooks, the magnificent comic book historian that he is. What do you think about Wonder Woman?
I thought it was all right. I mean, there were some really great things in it. I really liked the action scenes in particular. But the story seemed kind of weak. I think maybe because, I compared it to the first Captain America movie. It had that same kind of plot line going, and it's kind of like, I've seen it. But it was good. I think it's definitely worth checking out still.
Okay, absolutely. He thought it was all right, not bad, not spectacular, but decently wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, pretty much.
She didn't do the twirl either, which was very
Brooks did say before we walked in, he goes, if she doesn't do the twirl, I'm walking out. And we're like, how will you not know until the end of the movie? He's like, exactly.
But at the end of the movie, you did walk out.
Yes, he did. He did. Mike Matthews, the voice. He is. What did you think of Wonder Woman, homie?
I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought the action was great. The acting was good. What else can I say about it that you guys haven't really said about it? I thought Chris Pine as Steve Trevor was great. I think Gal Gadot did an amazing job as Wonder Woman. So can't wait to see the Justice League and see what everybody brings to that.
All right. Me personally, I thought the movie was, like Brooks, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't think it was something super exceptional. Maybe my hopes were raised so high. You guys know I'm a comic book guy. I love Marvel. I love DC. I was really hoping this movie would just blow me away, and it didn't quite blow me away, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't the worst thing ever, but there are other comic book movies that I like immensely more. For instance, I thought Batman vs. Superman was a better movie, in my opinion. At least the Ultimate Edition.
But you also have read probably more Wonder Woman comics than the average person.
Yes, and what I'm going to say is that they got Wonder Woman right. Gadot was amazing as wonderful even. But she did a really great job. Like you guys said, Chris Pine was amazing as Steve Trevor. Spoilers from this point forward, guys. We're going to start spoiling for some stuff. But I thought they had Wonder Woman, Diana, nailed perfectly. I loved Steve Trevor in the movie. I thought he was great. It did, like Brooks say, feel a lot to me like Captain America, the First Avenger, with a little bit of Thor thrown in there. I thought Robin Wright was amazing as her aunt in the first bit of the movie. I wish the first bit of the movie was a little bit longer, so some of the emotional resonance actually resonated more fully in the movie. When things happen that you're supposed to emotionally feel, it didn't. Like when Diana leaves Themyscira, I didn't really feel the emotional impact of that. When she found out that she had been lied to and that Zeus was actually her father, I felt like there was not the emotional impact on that. And I also felt like the villains were really, really terrible in this movie. This movie felt like a typical MCU movie in a way where it was really good and then the third act faltered, at least in my opinion. The villains, I like what they did with Ares at the end because I was going to be really pissed off if Ares was just like some kind of cokehead German general in World War I. But it has very much followed that formula of the first Captain America film. But Wonder Woman is awesome in the movie. Her team, the crew she gets, with Spud from Train Spotting and whatnot, that is like the Howling Commandos. Those parallels are there. It's a great origin story. But I just feel like Superman, Batman Begins are two of the greatest superhero movies in my opinion, and they're very similar in the fact that they're almost three different movies where you got the beginning of Batman Begins and you get the beginning of Superman. Superman begins on Krypton. That's like its own movie. Then it moves to Smallville, and that's like its own movie, and then to Metropolis. Batman Begins kind of does the same thing. Wonder Woman did this, where they were on Themyscira, then they're traveling, then they're in the war, and it's the final bit. And I just felt like it felt a little bit more disconnected than those other movies. It didn't quite pull it off perfectly, but it was still a really, really good movie. Whereas it is similar to Captain America, the First Avenger. The war, World War II, was just a setting in that movie. This movie, World War I, it actually speaks a lot more about war. War is, of course, a character. But the villains were a little weak throughout the entire movie until the very, very end. They were almost like the villains in Rocky and Bullwinkle to me. Like, they were unappealing, whatever. But I have mixed feelings about this movie. Maybe I need to process it some more, but it was all right. It was all right. I mean, I've been rambling. So let's get back to these guys. What do you think are the best part of the movie, and maybe what the worst part was? Because you're right. You said some of the CG was actually kind of bad.
Some of the CG, occasionally, very rarely, but occasionally it looked too CG. It was too shiny or too perfect. It looked like CG. It's something I expect from a TV show.
Yeah.
It's few and far between, and that's nitpicking. My other issue I take issue with, and you took issue with this too, was their travel from her island to London took them
like 6 hours.
Yeah. So apparently this is just minutes. So, you know what I'm saying?
Themyscira is right outside.
Yeah, it's like 50 miles.
It's in the English Channel.
Channel? So that was my other issue I take issue with. What I like, though, is... So those, again, two things I think can be, glossed over, minor things. And again, the London thing, probably, you got to move the story. You got to get to London. You can't draw this out.
What else are you going to do?
Yeah,
an
you're going to have a
invisible
whole
jet?
movie where they're just traveling, and in the sequel, they go fight the
Or you
the
just have an
Germans.
Invisible jet.
Or an invisible jet, which I heard they're eventually going to have.
Oh, no.
What's a part of her? The costumes are great. The casting is great. I like the music. I know you weren't a big fan of the music.
I thought the music was great until
I think it was
the electric
overused.
guitar comes in and it goes.
I think that her theme's overused. And I do like the relationship between her and Steve.
Yeah,
that's something I was looking forward to because that was a
Yeah.
big part of the Wonder Woman comic book.
They were great. They were great.
So I really love that. So I think it's got way more highs. The few things I dislike about it, I mean, that is me being nitpicking and saying you have to find something wrong with this.
Absolutely.
I mean, I still left it with a smile on my face. Really enjoyed it. And again, Godot, she blows everybody out of the water. Everybody, so many naysayers, and she's done such a good job as Wonder Woman.
Speaking of doing a good job as Wonder Woman, Brooks one time played Wonder Woman in a elementary school play and did a fantastic job that the Morgan City Review it astounded them.
My twirl was excellent.
Excellent. What some of the things you really liked about the movie and what you didn't like about the movie, real quick.
Well, I like the fighting scenes where where they're showing what Wonder Woman can do.
Yes.
Those are my favorite parts of the movie.
Because she's a badass.
But as for like my least favorite parts, it's hard to say because I mean there's nothing really that I didn't like. Really, it's just like some things stood out more for me. I thought that was kind of the problem. Is like there was nothing specifically that I just thought was really bad and didn't belong in there.
Yeah.
It seems. I guess that kind of made it seem a little more dull to me because I didn't have anything to bitch about. But at the same time, it's like it wasn't as good as I thought it was.
I feel like it had some pacing issues. Some scenes ran a little long. It dragged a little bit. But I do feel like that moment when she comes out on the battleground, no man's land, and walks across it. She's like, we're going to do something. She walks across, saves the village, which later gets destroyed. Mm-hmm. But that scene gave me chills. That scene was amazing, and that was everything that a superhero movie should be. I think they nailed the character, and a lot of people are liking this movie. And we're not saying that you're wrong, me and Brooks. We like the movie too. It just didn't impress us that fully. But we think that most people are responding to the character of Wonder Woman because they nailed who Diana is in this movie. And it is a big deal to do a movie this big and see a woman lift a tank like that.
Yeah.
It would be more cool if she was wearing pants. But speaking of wearing pants, and thank God they wear pants, Mike Matthews, some things you like, maybe a thing or two you didn't.
Nick's wearing pants today, by the way, Mike.
You're welcome. It's hot, so I really wanted to wear shorts with that skirt. What I liked about it, I love fish out of water stories, and it was great, and they nailed that. I thought it had a great blend of action and comedy. We had a not really full theater, but it was a lot of laughing.
Oh yeah,
Laughing and laughing.
The funny parts definitely hit. Like everybody there laughed.
Don't sleep on laughing.
Laughing is that's good for you, you know. What I did not like about it, can't really say all that much. There's the one scene where since we're doing spoilers, she goes in and kills the general, and I was just like, this better not be. There's got to be something more to this. If there's not, I'm out. I'm done. See you later. Bye.
Thank God for that twist.
Yes,
for sure.
And I thought Ares was great. A lot of people complain about the CGI. I mean, I got an eye, but I guess it just. I don't care.
I was gonna say they did Wolverine Origins where she uses her sword and you don't see any blood. You know, that was the problem with Origins is they didn't show any blood because of the rating and you couldn't have graphic. Well, she hacks people with her sword.
But it still deals with the theme of war, though.
It does.
But
very well.
How many Germans, Turkish, whatever, got hit with arrows? Flaming arrows.
Yeah.
It did not burn or did not show any blood.
I wish the movie could have been paced a little bit better. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this movie could have been better if some of the middle of the movie was trimmed and some of the beginning of the movie was elongated.
Speaking of movies, sections being trimmed, the part where she jumps up on the roof to get the sword. And it's that little cutscene of her just going.
That whole final scene with her and the German general, and I get I'm glad that they did this thing. Of course, you've seen the movie or spoilers, but they did this thing where Ares is not who she thinks it is, and blah blah blah. I'm really glad at what they did, though. Harry Potter's pissed as shit. Okay, but I just felt like the villain until the end was never cool. Like I said, they were like the villains in Rocky and Bull.
Well, yeah, because it was a misdirect. The whole point is you don't know.
Yeah, but they could have still been Jim Carrey's Edward Nygma in Batman Forever was more fleshed out than the General and Dr. Poison. You know. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Not trying to hate on the movie, but those are some of the things. But there's some things that we love about the movie. What are the themes of this movie? I definitely think it's love over war. That's the most obvious theme. This is a movie about war. It is a superhero movie, and it is about war. War is not just a backdrop or a setting. It is a literal character in this movie, and I think they handled that very, very well. They had the character right, power of love, understanding, communication over intolerance and nationalism and war. You know, before World War I, the Great War, because who could have imagined World War II at that time? That war really started because of a lot of stuff that we might be seeing in society today. A lot of nationalism, a lot of populism, a lot of stuff like that led to the Great War. And Wonder Woman serves as a warning to that kind of mentality. That's what I think. So what do you think about some of the themes in the movie, John?
I think you nailed it. I mean, it's definitely there's well, first off, it talks about a big thing is just how terrible and evil war is. It's not just talking about the fighting, but they're talking about the innocents that die and the bloodshed and just the atrocities and the terror of war.
And
they
really kind
really
of touch on the uncaringness of the superior officers.
Yes.
How they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care about their subordinates. They don't care about the troops.
That's what soldiers are there for.
Yeah, to die. Yeah, and it definitely deals with love over. Yeah, you're right. Love or compassion. It's just for your fellow human being. There's that whole all you need is love.
All you need is love.
So that's a big part of it, and it is kind of repeated, but that's a big part of it. There's more to the war and the stuff they're fighting over too. Wonder Woman doesn't really understand, they're fighting over possessions and land and stuff. She seems to be that she doesn't understand why they would fight when they're the same people, basically.
No, she didn't know what time was. So
all you need is love and a little bit of Brooks. So Brooks, some of the themes in this movie.
Well, it's definitely, a hero movie, because the hero is the symbol that rallies the people to join together and rise up and make a difference.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what she did, because I mean, it's like at the end of the movie, like nobody's doing anything. It's like we can't do anything but just sit here and wait. And then she just go charging in like, oh well, they're shooting at her. We can just go ahead and start moving.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
And like Batman, he does that. He rallies people to fight back against criminals. Superman inspires people to try to be better, and they really did the same thing with Wonder Woman. She inspires these people to fight back.
There are parts of this movie that are incredibly inspirational. Speaking of being incredibly inspirational, Mike Matthews, what are some of the themes in this movie?
We covered a lot of them. The big one is love, war. One of them that correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it's kind of like the naive child becomes an adult, because she's young and she doesn't want to really leave the island because she has no reason to, but she wants to battle, she wants war, and it's kind of a common thing. And then she sees it for the first time, and then she's kind of like, oh wow, this is not great. And then she actually sees how innocence is affected. The women and children are affected by it, and then it's just like, all right, this is real. And then as soon as she thinks she's got a grasp on it and everything, she loses it.
Yeah.
And then gains it back in a Hulk outrage.
All right, that's what we thought about the movie. Let me know down below. Let us know. What did you think of the movie? Did you like it? Did you love it? But most importantly, tell us why and what you think it means. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. And real quick, on a 5-star system, what would you rate this movie? Brooks?
3.
3. I got 3 as well. John?
4.5.
4.5. Mike?
4.5.
4.5. So overall, PCP rates it 4 stars.
Yeah, pretty good rating.
PCP overall rating of 4 stars. Let us know what you think down below. Thank you guys so much. Please do like, share, and subscribe. We do this stuff all the time, including a weekly comic book review, toy reviews, all that stuff and more can be found at popculturephilosophers.com, where you can also find our podcast. We love our podcast. You should as well. Thank you guys so much. You can support us on Patreon, unlock exclusive content. Dibba dibba dabba, yabba dabba dooba dabba dooba dabba dooba sabba zuba. Zilla zilla, diggum, golden smacks.
People have tuned out by now.
That's why I did it.
To get people to turn off the fucking, throw their computer out the
Okay,
window.
he's talking gibberish now.
Because they're never going to see it.
Never gonna give you up.
Is this going on the Patreon?